Each and every one of us nerds has that one movie that we used to love so much when we were kids, but that also scarred us to our very core. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Thomas.
I'm Merlin.
Together we're the Comic Lads, and today we're talking all about Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
Yeah, we're talking about movies that would scar us as kids, and I remember there were very few movies that on surface level just seem like a kid's movie, you know what I mean? Just something that you'd have on Saturday morning cartoons, but as a child speaks to you in a very specific way that like tortures your inner child and soul.
Yeah, there are images and sequences from this movie that live in my mind to this day, and when I think about them, like I kind of shudder.
Even now, you get goosebumps.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to be breaking down this movie and how much it means to us in both the positives and negatives.
Definitely.
But we want to hear from you in question of the week. Have you seen this movie? I feel like it's a movie that like flies under the radar, but those who know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The knowers know.
Exactly. How could you not know when you've seen this? As we're about to get into, let us know your thoughts on it down below.
And before we get into it, guys, make sure to drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. And subscribe if you haven't already.
So, before we jump into the actual main plot of this movie, because it is a feature-length movie. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Yes.
We gotta talk about the roots of where this movie and where these ideas initially came from.
Yeah, that being the Batman Beyond animated series, which to this day I still think is like one of the best ideas ever. In this day and age, we would never finish a Batman show and then be allowed to do a sequel show 40 years in the future.
Yes, and the sequel show being Batman Beyond here, a successor of Batman the Animated Series, which is very interesting because you watch Batman the Animated Series and it has this kind of like 1930s gangster aura to it.
Yeah.
And then Batman Beyond, which in the timeline only takes place about 40, 50 years in the future,
is so wildly futuristic.
Yes, it's
different.
like Blade Runner or something.
Yeah, and that's where you can have some of the most fun when you're watching this series, is catching little Easter eggs and seeing like old buildings that are derelict now in the future that you used to visit every episode in the animated series, or hearing old Bruce say like, "Let me tell you about a woman named Selena Kyle." Like, talking about his old flames. You know, there's something so special that we don't get in any other Batman media.
Absolutely, and the success of Batman Beyond resonated so heavily with audiences that WB was just like, fuck it, let's do a movie.
Yeah.
And that's where we get Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
And if you guys couldn't like tell or didn't know from the intro of this video, this movie fucking bangs.
I need like a theatrical like re-release.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
we gotta host like a Comic Lads event for it or something.
Absolutely.
But getting into the actual story, now that we got this little recap of Batman Beyond and the lore behind it out of the way, tonally it's a very dark movie.
Yes.
I mean, like we said before, this is a kid's movie for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
But there are certain themes and subjects that are portrayed throughout the movie that are horrifying.
But I do really think that the movie juggles tones really well too, because it bounces really well between fun action scenes that have a lot of levity, you know, with the Joker gang, into scenes that are gripping and haunting and mature enough that they had to edit the movie heavily for the TV release.
And speaking of the Joker gang, a gang of misfits set in the Batman Beyond future.
What an excellent squad. I love them.
And they kind of model themselves after the Joker. And we actually start the movie out with them committing a heist, stealing this unknown piece of tech. I love the opening sequence because there's very little words. Of course, this being Gotham and this being a crime, Batman, Terry McGinnis, shows up to stop them.
Our GOAT.
The GOAT. It's just a perfect action sequence.
It is.
Of him trying to stop them and then making a getaway.
I love this squad so much because they're so weird and varied and have such interesting designs. Like, I love Ghoul, like the shitty new Scarecrow.
Why does he sound like Christopher Walken?
What we're after is cutting edge. These are the only other places we'd find one.
This watch was your birthright. You'd be damned if any slope's gonna put the greasy yellow hands on his boy's birthright, so he hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something, his ass.
Okay, I actually wanted to mention that Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex in Smallville and The Flash in all the DCAU shows, voices Ghoul, and he said in an interview that he was like, yeah, I just did a Christopher Walken impression.
It sounds exactly like him.
You cut to him and he's like, what we're after is cutting edge. And you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So good.
The Joker gang end up making their escape.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that they have actually been on a crime spree selecting very specific,
Random pieces of tech.
yes, to steal. And, you know, we see Terry and Bruce in the Batcave, and they're talking about what could be the motivation behind this. And Bruce just chalks it up to, well, you know, they're criminals. They're just probably going to steal and sell on the black market. It's worth like a pretty penny.
It's like Bruce's most short-sighted moment ever.
The funny thing about this is that Bruce, in this movie, has actually reestablished himself as a prominent figure in Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah, it was a really nice journey seeing that previously in the show where Bruce has become kind of a recluse and he's let his company slip out of his fingers and into the hands of more seedy individuals. He's fallen by the wayside in terms of being a prominent figure that can help Gotham.
And in this movie, finally he's back in that seat. And one person at Wayne Industries that is not happy about it at all is Mr. Price. And Mr. Price, who's been in control of Wayne Enterprises, is very intimidated by Bruce Wayne's return. And he feels like his rise to power as the new head of Wayne Industries is getting cut short by Bruce.
But then we get back to the meat and potatoes where we cut back to the crew of Jokers heading back to their hideout and meeting with their boss.
Where we realize that these crime sprees aren't just random encounters for petty cash.
But their leader is the Joker.
When you first see him, he's just silhouetted standing at the end of this table meeting with all of them.
And he has like red eyes.
Red eyes glowing through the dark. It almost makes it feel like a supernatural force.
Yeah.
One of the Joker gangs, Bonk, hilarious name, I'm sorry.
So good.
Bonk, just roided up.
Yeah.
Tries to stand up to Joker.
This guy, I don't even buy he's the Joker. You're a fraud. And you're like, what are you doing, Bonk?
Yeah, I know. What are you doing, Bonk? And Joker kills him. And that just lets you know to the viewer, like, yeah, this is the real Joker somehow back.
Yeah, it's a shock to the system for Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond fans in general, seeing a straight up death on screen, like a murder.
That's where the whole theme of this video goes back to, where, yes, you go into it thinking that this is going to be just a nice, lighthearted kids movie.
Yeah.
And then within the first 10 minutes, someone gets fucking capped.
Yeah, and you see his eyes have rolled back into his head, and I'm like, you guys want to maybe relax a little bit?
Yeah, for real.
I don't know about you, dude. For me, it might be recency bias having just watched it. This might be my favorite Mark Hamill Joker performance.
It's incredible.
Hello, Gotham. Joker's back in town.
It's ridiculous.
And speaking of performances, I mean, everyone's giving their all.
Yeah, Will Friedle as Terry is just disgusting. He's so good.
Kevin Conroy, the definitive voice of the Batman Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
So after this, it's officially revealed that Joker has come back, and he actually crashes Bruce Wayne's return to Wayne Enterprises party.
Yeah.
And I love the moment when he crashes the party and Bruce Wayne's face is just in shock.
Has this 1,000-yard stare. Like, he's literally seeing a ghost.
And while they're there, they actually end up stealing some more tech.
Yep.
You can just see, like, the PTSD start to immediately arise in Bruce.
Yeah. You and Bruce both know instantly that this isn't a charade or a ruse. Joker looks directly into Bruce's eyes and says, like,
Your old eyes do not deceive you, Brucey. After all, who know me better than you?
Immediately following this, of course, Bruce goes into full detective mode, and there's this great moment where he's in the Batcave and he matches Joker's voice at the party to an old clip of, like, Joker from the animated series, and the computer says it's not an identical match. During the whole prologue of the movie, it feels very much like Bruce is in denial, and he's trying to find concrete evidence to why Joker can't be back, because there's no possible way.
Yeah. And he even gets so paranoid to the point where he kind of, like, fires Terry.
In the moment Bruce is lashing out because he's emotional.
Yes.
As the viewer, it's very well communicated that he's doing it because he's scared.
He's terrified.
And he doesn't want Terry to be hurt.
And it makes you question, like, what happened in the past? What happened to Bruce's allies? Because we don't get much of that at all in the show, except with Barbara. We find that she's the commissioner, but you don't know what's happened to the Robins, to Dick, to Tim, so you're like, what is he so scared of?
And while Terry is kind of moping about being newly fired from Bruce Wayne, Bruce is at the Batcave, and it's actually trashed by the Joker.
Yeah, we get a horrifying reunion scene.
It's even more scary to the point where Terry comes back to find Bruce beaten in the cave.
And laughing gassed.
Yeah, he slowly turns him over, and Bruce's face has been distorted by the Joker grin.
Yeah, and he has this like rictus grin on his face, and he's like, antidote.
And while Bruce is recovering from this, that actually leads Terry to confront Barbara, knowing that they have this shared history and past. Maybe a little bit too much of a shared history and past.
Why do they dig? Okay, no, that's not what this video
Yeah, we're not getting into it.
That's not what this video's about, guys. Terry asks Barbara just to finally spill the fucking beans because they've both been giving him like breadcrumbs throughout the entire show. He's like, what happened with the Joker? You guys never talk about him. Boy, do we find out.
Yep, we get a whole flashback sequence. It's one of the best and darkest moments in Batman the Animated Series lore.
I think it's the darkest thing for sure.
And getting into it, like we said, it's a flashback, and Barbara's narrating and talking about how at this point in the past, when the flashback takes place, Dick has moved to supposedly Bloodhaven, I'm assuming. And she talks about how with Dick gone, the Bat family essentially is reduced to Bruce, Barbara, and Tim. And during this flashback, she narrates that one night when Robin's out on patrol, he actually gets like tricked by the Joker into saving this woman in distress, which ends up being just Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and she fucking waylays him with her mallet.
Yeah, and they capture Robin. Watching it when you're a bit older, you're picking up on different details.
Yeah.
And like when I rewatched it, there's this point where she's like, we searched day and night to find traces of Robin, but there was nothing to be found.
Yeah, and she says for 3 agonizing weeks.
3 weeks.
3 fucking weeks?
And eventually Joker sends him a message. He sends just a straight jacket, which obviously leads them to Arkham. We get into this sequence where Joker reveals that he's essentially Jokerized Tim Drake to make him into Joker Jr.
Can I just say, it's so fucked.
It's so fucked, and like it's so visceral because in the moment you can see the rage behind Batman, and he's not even concerned about Tim in that moment.
Yeah.
He just has tunnel vision to fucking kill the Joker.
Yes.
And while Batman is wailing on Joker, Batgirl actually chases down Harley, and at one point Harley falls off a ledge, and you kind of assume as the viewer like that's wraps for her.
Yeah, because she fell like hundreds of feet.
Back with Batman, Joker actually puts on a movie of how he psychologically and physically broke down Tim.
Yeah.
And it's played and shot almost like a Frankenstein monster movie.
Yes.
But it's so disturbing. Like, you gotta remember, this is a 12-year-old kid.
Yes, this is a child that for 3 weeks has been tortured.
And you can see him writhing in pain on this table while Joker pumps him full of chemicals and who knows what else to break him down.
As this is happening, Joker is saying that as he broke Tim, he started to pour out these secrets. And he says, secrets that are mine alone to know. Bruce. And this is a huge fucking moment. Like, animated series Joker has never found out who Batman is.
And it's so great too because it reaffirms the fact that this isn't just a Batman Beyond movie.
No, this is cemented in canon.
Yes, and it's also a Batman the Animated Series movie. It's almost like a perfect bridge between them.
It is.
Joker has Batman on the ropes, and he throws a gun to Tim to finish the job. He's like, come on, Junior, like, lay it on him. And Tim just starts laughing.
Tim. Do it!
And he fucking shoots Joker.
And Joker dies. And his last words are, "That's not funny," which is a fitting end for Joker in this moment.
It is.
And following that, Tim, broken emotionally, just starts crying.
Yeah, his laugh morphs into this sob.
And he collapses in Batgirl's arms. And that's where I mean, like, this movie, even now watching it, I mean, unless you're a psychopath, seeing a small kid broken like this and crying, even if it's an animation form, it tugs at something deep within you.
It's horrible, man.
And there's this great moment while Barbara comes to the end of this narration in this flashback where she says,
"With his last act of cruelty, the Joker had tainted us all with compromise and deception. I suppose he had the last laugh after all."
and it's like a perfect moment where you finally realize this is the catalyst that broke down the Bat family.
Yeah, they lost.
Things were never really the same. Bruce forbade Tim to be Robin again. He blamed himself for what happened and swore he'd never endanger another young partner.
And it's perfect context, too, if you've been watching Batman Beyond up until that point. We don't really know why Bruce has become so jaded and distant from the world at the beginning of that series.
And now not only do you know why, you understand it.
But Terry, hearing Barbara's side of the story feels like he should also talk to current day Tim Drake.
Yeah.
And he actually confronts him at his job as a engineer to see if there's any clues he can provide.
Definitely.
And Tim at this point, reveals that he's moved on from this life, and he's just as shocked as anyone else that Joker has returned, but he has nothing to do with it.
And you're like, okay, dude.
Something's fishy here.
Sure thing, bro.
Something is definitely fishy here. But with Tim Drake's encounter out of the way, Terry believes that the next prime suspect could be Mr. Price, who we previously mentioned.
Yeah, and not only because, there are clues pointing to him maybe being a suspect, but maybe metatextually, Terry's like, oh, this guy looks exactly like Joker and is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Exactly. Even when you first see him at the beginning of the movie, there's a part of you that's like, that's Joker.
Oh, that's fake Joker.
Exactly. And he ends up spying on Price, and it's revealed to the viewer that Price did have a hand in Joker's return in some capacity by giving clearance codes to the Joker gang to steal all these tech equipment pieces.
Yeah, it's just like a middleman.
But now that their use for him is over, Joker's actually like, you're a loose end, bro. You gotta go. And we find out that all these tech parts that the Joker gang and Joker has been assembling is kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon villain plot.
Yeah, this is probably the weakest part of the movie, Joker's actual plan,
which is to build a giant
communications device.
Yes.
To
hack into a laser satellite weapon.
Laser satellite.
It's very like Dr. Evil-y.
Extremely. Yeah, he's gonna carve, he's gonna draw a dick on the earth with a laser.
Yeah. And he wants to essentially rule Gotham through fear of, well, if you don't follow my lead, you'll get vaporized. And he actually uses this device to try to vaporize the boat that Price and Terry are on. And this is a great sequence of them flying away from what essentially is a tsunami.
Yeah, that's massive tidal wave. It's so sick. And later on, Terry goes back to the Batcave and realizes that whole place isn't trashed, but Joker went out of his way to destroy only the Robin costume
out of all the ones on display.
And you're like, you're not covering your tracks very well.
Yeah, real subtle.
Yeah.
The person who's most qualified to actually assemble a device like this has to have an insane engineering degree.
And who do we know from the cast that has that? Tim Drake.
Tim Drake has got to have a hand in this.
Yes.
And he's got to be either blackmailed or manipulated by the Joker into helping him.
Yeah, he knows for sure that Tim hasn't been telling the whole story.
And he confronts Tim, and we finally get into the moment, the gotcha moment, the big reveal that Tim Drake is the Joker.
In the most disturbing, crazy transformation scene of all time. The Joker reveals that transforming Tim into Joker Jr. wasn't the whole plan. His actual plan was that he copied his whole consciousness / personality onto a microchip and embedded it into Tim Drake's nervous system.
And this microchip over many, many years slowly accumulated Joker's consciousness in Tim Drake's body. He can take over his body and actually become the Joker once again.
Yeah, and Tim doesn't remember any of it, and if he does, it's very hazy and he chalks it up to bad dreams.
And funny enough, kind of a side note, at this point you realize how many similarities there truly are between the Arkham lore and the Batman the Animated Series universe lore.
Yeah, they take so many elements like the Joker
taking over one of the Bat family,
taking over someone's mind,
very much reminiscent of Batman Arkham Knight. So during this last sequence, we get a lot of great action. We get to see the Batman Beyond Batmobile, which is just like chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Looks so sick.
And we get an insane showdown between Terry and the Joker.
It's obviously a physical battle,
yeah,
but it's also very much a mental battle.
It's a battle of wits, yeah.
What are you doing? Fighting dirty. The real Batman would never... Told you didn't know me.
Terry essentially confronts Joker and says, I know why you were so fixated on Batman all these years.
It's because he would never talk to you.
And you were always just trying to get a laugh out of him. Yeah. And he wouldn't talk to you, would he? But I'm not like that Batman. And he starts bitching the Joker. And it's so funny. And it really gets under Joker's skin. Because
it's never happened to him.
Exactly. This ends up being Joker's undoing because he fights with passion instead of
cunning. Yes.
which is exactly what Joker's done to Batman Bruce Wayne in the past to get him to fold. And so he kind of Uno reverses him
100%.
in a way that only Terry McGinnis can.
I agree.
The climactic finish is that, funny enough, Terry ends up zapping the microchip in Tim's neck with Joker's own
Joy buzzer.
Joy buzzer, which is a funny twist of fate. And of course, Tim Drake finally is able to destroy the Joker's hold on him.
It's poetic to the flashback because Joker was killed by one of his own weapons, and just now Terry destroys him again with one of his own weapons.
It's true, huh?
His own, like, shitty toy weapons.
Yeah, his scheming is his exact undoing.
Exactly.
This movie wraps up in a very satisfying, heartwarming way.
It's beautiful, dude. I'm not gonna lie, I shed a tear.
For the last 40, 50 years, Bruce and everyone close to him has been deeply, deeply hurt by the tragedies that occurred by Joker's hands. It split them all up.
And we cut to the hospital bed where Tim is recuperating and he's with Barbara, but then we see that Bruce does come to the hospital to see him.
Hello, Tim. Hi, old man.
That fucking broke me.
Yeah, and it's just a short little moment, but you know that despite all their differences, there's only love and shared history between them. And that's why this movie is so special, because it not only shows the deconstruction of the Bat family, but the reconnection between all of them, while somehow taking place in the future as well.
Absolutely. This serves as a really fucking solid ending to both Batman shows.
Exactly. And the final shot, you see Terry looking out over Neo Gotham as Gotham's protector Batman.
And also, little kind of Easter egg tag that we get at the end is we find out that the Dee twins
From the Joker gang.
from the Joker gang, their grandma is Harley, and Harley actually survived and is still alive to this day, which, you know, is fun, but I'm also like, fuck you for what you did to Tim, bro. Go to jail.
Yeah.
You know, fuck you. You should still
100%.
be in there.
100%. This movie is something truly special, like pretty much all the things that have come out of the DC animated universe.
Absolutely.
Both equally heartwarming and disturbing.
Horrifying.
Definitely something you guys should check out if you haven't already. This is a quintessential Batman Beyond and Batman story.
Yes, this is an essential DC animated universe watch as well.
Guys, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, looking back at different animated movies of the past, make sure to like the video. It really helps us out. Subscribe, and we love you.
We love you so much.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.